Welcome to the audiobook, Fated to Save Him. Written by 𝐅𝐴bloomintheDarkness. Narrated by Rob Bosch. 9 years ago, a small angelic little girl with flawless pale skin, shiny ink black hair, and sparkling blue eyes sits in her usual cave. She happened to stumble on it one day when she was beaten and escaping for her life. The entry is really well hidden. The cave itself is dark, moist, and dirty, but it is her place. It is her little haven. She has a little stash of food, a small pile of tattered books, and some soft bedding. That is all she needs, and she's more than happy with her setup. She doesn't stay here very often, but sometimes, when she needs time to recover from her injuries, she stays here in her cave. The last thing she wants him to know is the extent of her injuries and how much it hurts. She used to show him, but he would just laugh and say that she was weak. She was a mistake that should have never been born. She truly would rather just live here in her cave and hide from the cruel world. But even at her young age, she knows that it is not possible. She sits with a quilt wrapped around her, eating a can of peaches. She looks lonely, but this is where she is the most happy and content. Here, she feels no more pain. She hears no more hateful words, and she gets no more bone-chilling glares. She takes another peach slice out of the can, a smile on her pretty pouty lips as she tastes the sweetness of the peach. She hears a noise. There is a snarling, growling noise. She grabs her spear, which is more like a stick, that she managed to carve into a point. She pulls the quilt tightly around her, as if the dirty material will save her from the impending danger. She hears a weak scream. Her ears prick up. She quietly gets to her feet and silently walks to the entrance of the cave. She peers out the green tendrils of vines that keep the entrance hidden. 3 rogues surround something on the ground. The young boy tried to get to his feet again. He is absolutely drenched in blood. His blonde hair no longer visible under the thick coating of blood. Not all the blood on him is his. He has managed to take down 2 of the rogues already, but now he is lacking in strength. He is breathing hard, and his hands are shaking in fear, but the determination can be seen in his green eyes. The girl's blue eyes study this boy, who is not much older than her. He is hurt. She knows she will have to watch him die if she doesn't intervene. She clutches her spear, her little hand turning wider with the strength as she sucks in a deep breath. She is not the bravest, but that doesn't mean she has not got guts. She knows right from wrong. She would never be able to live with herself if she just stood by and did nothing, just watched him die. She takes a sharp intake of breath and silently slips forward. No one pays her any attention to the small, non-threatening presence until her spear goes through the heart of the first wolf. She removes the stick and stabs again, leaving the stick deeply embedded this time as the wolf slowly turned back to his human form. One wolf launches at the little girl, and one at the little boy. The girl swiftly dodges, jumping on the small wolf's back, gripping around his neck, and using as much strength as her small hands can muster to snap the wolf's neck. She rides down the body as he shifts back dead. The little boy looks at the wolf's heart in his hands. It is still slightly beating. The wolf's jaw is still closed around his shoulder, only finally releasing as he turns back to human form as he falls. The small boy falls to his knees, blood pouring out of his arm. The little girl runs to him and struggles to lift him to his feet, throwing one of his arms over her shoulder. Even though he is only a year older, he is significantly heavier. The boy looks at her in shock. Did he die? How did this tiny little cute-as-a-button, doll-looking girl suddenly appear and kill 2 wolves?
I'm going to look after you. Don't worry, but this is my secret spot. You can't tell anyone about it, okay?
Her small, sweet voice brings him back to reality, and he finally decides that this is not a dream.
I won't tell.
The little girl helps him inside the cave and lays him down on the dirty bedding. The boy instantly relaxes. The slight warmth on the bedding and her soft scent bringing down his guard. She walks to the back of the cave where there is a small clean water source. She gathers up a bucket of water and rushes back to the boy. She hands him the can of peaches.
You eat. I will treat your injuries.
She studies him.
You are a wolf?
Yeah. He doesn't have to ask if she is. It is obvious enough from her complete lack of reaction from killing and seeing the wolves.
Good. It shouldn't take too long to heal. A couple of days at most. I will stay with you.
The little boy nods and grabs the can of peaches and gobbles them quickly. The girl starts cleaning the blood to see the extent of his injuries. She has a very well-stocked medical supply. It's usually to treat herself, but it is more than enough to treat him. The boy finishes the second can of peaches in no time.
What is your name? Piper. Yours?
She doesn't even look at him as she concentrates hard on treating him.
Jake. Oh, what are you doing out here? I got taken. What were you doing far enough away from your pack to be taken? Well, looking for adventure.
She laughs softly and finally looks up at him. His green eyes are like shining gems.
Well, don't do silly things like that again. You may not be so lucky next time. What are you doing out here? Hiding, escaping, all of the above. From who? That doesn't matter. Do you live here? Only sometimes. I live in a house. Don't worry, I'm not a rogue. I wasn't worried.
The boy looks at her. She is so kind it doesn't matter to him even if she's a rogue. She finishes treating him and helps him lay down, covering him with the remaining bedding.
Go to sleep. It will help you heal faster.
She sits back against the cave wall and opens up her book again, clicking on a small torch as she starts reading, checking every little while to check that he doesn't have a fever. Rogues can carry all sorts of disease on their teeth. Jake's eyes slightly open every time the soft little hand gently rests on his forehead, but sleeps again soon after. When he wakes again, Piper is huddled against the cave wall, her arms wrapped around her legs as she shivers.
Come here, Piper. I am fine. You will freeze to death. I thought you said you were going to look after me. You can't do that if you're frozen.
She hesitantly crawls over and gets inside the covers. Jake wraps his arms around her.
We will just share the heat, okay? Okay.
Piper hides in his arms and nervously embraces him. She has never received a hug in her life, so she cherishes the feeling when Jake doesn't pull away or tell her she is disgusting.
How old are you, Piper? 9. I am 10. Where are you from? I am the future Alpha of the Jade Moon Pack. Oh, I am the Alpha's daughter of the Smoky Moon Pack.
Jake pulls Piper closer into his tight embrace.
Thank you for saving me. I just did what anyone would do. That is not true. You could have died. Well, you were going to.
They fall asleep holding each other tight. Two days later, the flesh wounds on Jake are almost healed. It is just his broken leg that is taking a bit longer. It probably needs a couple more days. Piper puts her small body under Jake's armpit, wrapping her arms around his waist, as she helps him slowly limp back to his packlands.
Remember what you promised me. I won't tell anyone. Do you promise you will call me? I promise, but you can call me Ed. I said that I will get you a mobile phone. I know. Just don't call me until then. Okay, I promise.
On the border of Jade Moon, 3 wolves suddenly surround the two of them. One shifts. Future Alpha Jake, we have been looking everywhere for you. He looks at Piper warily. What did you do to him? Jake glares at him, trying to pull Piper behind him in a protective way, puffing out his small, childlike chest.
Don't you dare speak to her like that!
Suddenly, a massive blonde wolf with green eyes bursts into the clearing. He shifts, his voice full of sorrow, the area around his eyes showing signs of weariness from his worry and lack of sleep. His usually immaculate, handsome face is covered in rough stubble. Jake, we thought we lost you. He gathers Jake up in a bone-crushing hug. Piper lowers her head and backs up. A small tremble can be seen on her small body. The big wolf's eyes flick to her. Jake, who is this?
This is Piper. She saved me and looked after me. You should have seen her, Dad. She killed 2 rogues.
You killed 2 rogues? The Alpha's eyebrows are up so high that they have nearly joined his hairline. He looks at the little angelic girl in front of him, who doesn't even dare to raise her head. Apart from being a little dirty, she looks like a flawless little doll. The warrior wolves look on with just as much surprise.
Yes, sir. It was nothing, sir. Please, may I go?
The little girl is shivering in fear. Jake looks at her with a confused expression on his handsome, dirt-covered face.
Piper, are you okay?
Piper finally snaps and runs off as fast as her little legs will carry her.
Piper!
Jake can't run after her because of his leg injury. All he can do is call out to her and look at his father for help. Obvious grievance in his voice.
Dad, why did she run away from me?
The large man looks at the back figure of the small escaping girl with a complicated expression on his face. She didn't run away from you, Jake. I think she ran away from me.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything, buddy. Who is she?
The Alpha's daughter of the Smoky Pack.
Jake is still watching the space where she left. He misses the adults' knowing looks at each other. Maybe she's just a bit scared of alpha wolves, buddy.
So does that mean she's scared of me?
Of course not, buddy. It is just that some alphas aren't as nice as us. Do you understand? Jake's dad, Tom, scratches his head, not sure how to explain. He looks at Jake. Where did she save you?
It's her secret place. She doesn't want anyone to know about it.
Did she say why?
Escaping and hiding or something like that.
Tom rubs the hair on Jake's head with a complicated expression on his handsome yet slightly haggard face as he looks in the direction that Piper disappeared. Buddy, just because she's sweet, kind-hearted and beautiful, it doesn't mean she has an easy or good life.
I don't understand.
One day you will, buddy. Let's get you home to Mom. She has been worried sick about you. Jake goes home. For a total of 8 days, he doesn't get a phone call from Piper. Piper arrives home. Being sure to wash off any remnants of Jake's smell, she walks into the Alpha's house. The Alpha rushes up and grips her around the throat, throwing her heavily against the wall. Her small body groans in protest. Her voice is as soft and timid as a mouse.
Dad, let me go.
Where have you been? Look at these dishes in the sink. I have had to go up to the pack house to eat. Did you think you could get rid of me by making me starve to death? You really are a useless waste of space. He flings her body down against the far wall. Her tiny frame collapses to the floor. I want dinner ready at 6. Piper's father, Caden, walks off, without even casting a glance back at the small, bruised and battered frame of his daughter, who is curled into a ball on the ground. Piper's brother comes out of the shadows, where he has been hiding, watching the whole scene unfold. Piper, where have you been?
I just got lost, Holt.
He kicks Piper hard in the stomach, a look of disgust over his somewhat handsome face. You are as useless as Dad said. Piper doesn't let the tears fall as she pushes herself back up off the ground. One arm hangs limply by her side. She braces herself near the doorframe, and finally, after a lot of effort, flicks the dislocated arm back into place. She limps into the kitchen, ignoring her other injuries, and starts working. After dinner is served, and her father and brother have eaten their fill, that is when she is usually allowed to eat the scraps that are left. But today, she has a more important task.
Dad, would I be able to call a friend?
A friend? Like a pathetic mutt like you could have a friend. If you touch my phone, I will kill you. Piper hangs her head. She doesn't know why she bothered to ask. Of course, he was never going to let her.
Okay, Dad.
8 days later, Jake arrives at Piper's cave with a newly purchased mobile phone. She's not there, so he just leaves it at the entrance. One day after Piper manages to drag her beaten and bruised body into the cave, everything hurts so much she can hardly stand it. Pain plagues her small frame. She sees the phone at the entrance, and a small smile crosses her bruised, pale face. Her smile, coupled with a pained look, looks like a terrible mess. Piper reads the note as she picks up the phone and turns it on. Call me. Her small fingers fumble and her eyes are wide as she tries to work out the functions before calling the only contact. The phone is quickly connected. Jake's excited voice comes through the earpiece.
Piper, you finally got it. Yes, Jake. Thank you so much. Sorry I didn't call.
That is all right. Are you at the cave now? I will come and see you.
No, I'm just about to leave.
Jake explains a few features of the phone before hanging up. Piper lets the painful tears flow. She lays back on the bedding, curling up into a ball and sobbing. She is too weak to treat her injuries. She has nothing left, not a single ounce of energy. She just hugs the mobile phone as she cries through the pain. The two children only see each other a couple of times in the next 2 years, but chat to each other every single night.
Piper, can you please come? I really can't. It's my 12th birthday party. You have to come.
Piper grips the phone, a slight tremor of fear in her hand, and a twisted expression on her face. But Jake doesn't know that. He just hears her sweet voice on the other end of the phone.
Won't you have lots of friends there already?
I will, but how could I not have my best friend there? You have to come.
Okay, if you are sure you won't be embarrassed of me.
Why would I be embarrassed of you?
Okay. I will text you the details.
Piper looks down at her phone, and then her bruised and battered body. Hot tears run down her delicate little face. A few days later, she puts on her best outfit and walks the long distance to the Jade Moon Packlands. She is intercepted on the border and escorted to the party. The warrior bows. Alpha, Luna. She said she was here for future Alpha's birthday, but she was just wandering over the border. Piper? Piper looks up slightly, but doesn't meet either of the adults' eyes. Her hands clenched tightly in front of herself.
Yes, sir. Sorry, it was a mistake. I should leave.
Her eyes always trained on the ground. Luna steps forward and wraps an arm around Piper's shoulder. Piper cringes. She trembles, nearly dropping what is tightly hugged to her chest. Anna looks at Tom. Worry can be clearly seen in her beautiful green eyes. Tom looks concerned, but shrugs.
Don't be silly, Piper. You are all Jake is excited about today. We were just expecting you to come by car. That is the only reason we didn't tell the warriors guarding the outer borders. Oh.
Alpha Tom steps forward. Does her dad know you're here? Piper finally looks up at the Alpha, a frightened look on her face. Her voice is so soft and timid. If it wasn't for their advanced hearing, they wouldn't even be able to hear it.
No, please don't tell him.
Her small body is shaking. Anna is shocked when she looks at Piper's face. This is her first meeting of the little girl that saved her son's life back then. Her son talks about her non-stop. He is more excited to have her over than the rest of his friends combined. Piper's pale face, framed with long silky ink black hair, boasts the most beautiful big blue eyes. The color is stunningly vivid and is framed heavily by curled long black lashes that could make any woman jealous. Her small features are absolutely exquisite. Anyone can tell that she is, even through the myriad of bruises and scratches.
It's okay. We won't tell him. Come with me, sweetie. We will get you something else to change into after your long journey.
Piper pulls at her clothing nervously. Doesn't look that bad. To her, it is her best outfit. To others, it looks like a sack with arms. It is slightly dirty and has countless stains on it. Luna looks at her maid and links him.
Does her father do this to her?
I guess so.
We have to do something.
What can we do, Anna? Tell another Alpha how to raise his child?
Can you just let her live like this?
What do we do? Start a war with Smoky Pack because of her?
So we just sacrifice her for peace?
Anna, it is that, or hundreds of people die. Luna Anna ignores her maid, giving him the cold shoulder, not agreeing with his cold-hearted ideas in the slightest. Tom knows that Anna is annoyed at him, but he has to think rationally. Being an Alpha means thinking of the good of many over the good of one. Anna leads Piper towards the house when a sudden excited shout comes from the side. Jake runs over and embraces Piper.
You came! I am so happy!
Piper hugs Jake back. The other kids all crowd around. Anna can do nothing at this point but step back, an apprehensive look on her face.
Jake, who is this? This is my best friend Piper.
Jake introduces proudly as he looks at the beautiful girl in front of him that he has missed so much. They talk all the time, but it is so good to see her again in the flesh. She's even more beautiful than she was last time. In Jake's appreciation of Piper, he completely overlooks all the glaring wounds. A screeching, sneering voice interrupts the two.
best friend. Yeah.
Piper hands over her present. She is so nervous that she's struggling to even look at Jake in the eyes. Everyone is staring at her, and there are just so many people. Already shaking from fear, the anxiety is making her legs want to give way, and she just wants to hide her face. Her voice has an obvious quiver.
I baked them myself.
Jake opens the small package that contains a few chocolate chip cookies.
You baked them yourself?
Piper looks at the ground. She knows that it is not much. She can see a big table full of presents. So looking at her pathetic little present in Jake's hands, she is so embarrassed. But the big smile can't be swiped off Jake's face.
Yes, I did. Sorry, it isn't much. Thanks. I love it.
He hugs her again. This time, she doesn't return the hug, as she is very aware of lots of eyes on her. She fidgets and shies away. The girl's shrill, rude voice rings out again, as she hits the cookies to the ground.
Our future alpha can't eat anything that has been cooked by someone as filthy as you. You probably poisoned it.
She steps forward and rips at Piper's dress. Her tone is more and more disgusted as she looks at Piper with disdain.
And what is this? Are you wearing rags?
Piper's arm is revealed, horrific wounds and bruises all over her pale skin.
Disgusting. It looks like she has some type of disease. How can you even show that in public? Are you trying to make us all vomit?
Piper looks up at Jake's shocked face and turns and runs. She is incredibly fast now for such a little girl. Anna feels her heart breaking.
Beta, Gabby, and Samuel.
Two adults step forward and bow. Yes, Luna?
If you can't teach your daughter properly, I will assume you are no longer fit for the role.
Luna, she didn't say anything wrong. She's just a little girl.
She is a little girl that just hurt another little girl with her words. You better teach her manners and compassion, or else she will not be in the pack when she comes of age.
Jake finally snaps out of his shock and tries to run after Piper, but his father catches him.
Buddy, it is still your birthday. I don't care about that. You cannot just go running off. What if something happens to you?
What if something happens to her?
Alpha lets him go. He tries to chase her, but Piper is long gone. The birthday boy retires to his room, leaving his party. He sits on the bed and kicks the floor repeatedly, trying to call Piper. Anna knocks on the door. Jake?
Yes, Mom?
Anna opens the door and walks in, sitting down beside Jake. I am sorry about your party, buddy.
Why did you make me invite Wendy? It is all her fault.
She is the beta's daughter.
So what? She scared away Piper. She wrecked my cookies.
I know, buddy. Do you still want to be friends with Piper?
Why wouldn't I?
Good boy, buddy. That is great. Anna looks at her son proudly. He can look past all the wretchedness and still love Piper for who she is on the inside.
I don't want to be friends with Wendy.
Buddy, you can't be like that. You know how close our families are.
I don't care, Mom.
After 3 days of unanswered phone calls, Jake goes and checks the cave to find the mobile sitting there with a note beside it in tiny, neat handwriting.
I am sorry.